Welcome everyone, you're watching Conversations with Alanki. Now, most of my conversations revolve around Sri Lanka or Sri Lankans who made an impact. Today, I will be in conversation with a Sri Lankan Australian, Ranj Perera. Now, for those who are not aware, Ranj is the endorsed Liberal candidate for the Federal Division of Holt at the 2022 federal election, which will be held in Australia this month. Now, what is remarkable is if elected by the people, he will be the first Sri Lankan Australian to make it to the Australian Federal Parliament. And we really do hope that he makes it. So to find out more, I will be in conversation with Ranj. It will be a Zoom conversation because he is in Australia as we speak. So let's speak to Ranj and find out more. Hi, Ranj.
Hi, Alanki. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this opportunity as well.
Thank you. And I look forward to having this conversation. So Ranj, as we begin this conversation, I'd like to know, you were in Sri Lanka till you were around 11 years old, and then you left to UK,
Yes,
and then you arrived in Australia when you were around 14 years. What made you want to take up politics in Australia?
Okay, I've always been interested in politics. Even when I was young, there used to be a program called Question Time on TV, which is a program where every day in Parliament, the opposition gets to question the government. And there's a lot of debate, and I found that really interesting. So I constantly, whenever I got home from school, I would always watch Question Time, and I really enjoyed it. So it's been politics has always been a lifetime interest for me. I really enjoy the parliamentary debate as well, and also enjoy the discussion on policy matters in Parliament, legislation, bills going through the House, through the Parliament, and so on. So I really enjoy that aspect. It is an institution which is a very humbling institution, where the ruling of a country takes place, the policies, the laws, legislation, and all that is implemented. So I've always found that interesting and enjoyable, and so that's probably why I've always wanted to be in politics.
Indeed. And I know you're into Australian politics, and I mean, you will be involved in politics in Australia. But if you were elected to Parliament as the first Sri Lankan Australian, what would you want to focus on?
There's many things that I would focus. Of course, my concern, being from the constituency or the electorate of Holt, my first concern is the people of Holt, and making sure that their needs, their voices are heard in the Australian Federal Parliament. And I would be representing those people, and my first duty would be to make sure that their needs and whatever that's needed for this electorate would be represented, and I'd be lobbying on behalf of the constituents of Holt. Going back to, I guess the key things. I represent the Liberal Party, which is the party that has been, in fact, in the last 25 years, 19 years out of those 25 have been Liberal Party has been in government in Australia, and one of our strong points is economic management. We've always been excellent economic managers. Whenever the Liberal Party has been in power, the economy of Australia has been exceptional. For example, even currently, the unemployment rate is at 4%, which is out of the last 50 years, it's the best rate that Australia's had within the last 50 years. A lot of the economic, Australia has a AAA credit rating. A lot of the indicators coming out of the pandemic. Obviously, as you know, we're out of this pandemic where a lot of countries are struggling economically. However, Australia is in a better position than most countries around the world because of that economic management. So I guess my interest lies in areas of economic management, ensuring that in Holt there's appropriate infrastructure development. Roads are so important. Roads, in fact, are a state government issue in Australia. However, the federal government also funds the building of roads. So infrastructure development is of interest. Also crime, making sure that crime is low as well. Those are key things that I believe that I'd be interested in. Making sure the cost of living is low as well. Interest rates, cost of living, those sort of things being low is very important for the people of Holt, and those are the things that I'll be keenly looking at if elected on the 21st of May.
Right, that was going to be my next question, but you already answered it. I was going to ask you to mention a little bit about the policies of the Liberal Party that you wish to represent or endorse. And I think you did say that economy would be key, economy would be the focus. Moving on to the next question. You worked as the Chief of Staff and Senior Advisor to Minister Jason Wood. And during this period, how have you been able to contribute to society?
Fantastic question, Alanki. Thank you. And yes, I did have the opportunity for the last 4 years or so to work with Minister Jason Wood in the Department of Home Affairs, in charge of the portfolios of customs, community safety and multicultural affairs. And within those portfolios, one of the key things that we've done is the growth we've had and the support that we've given to our multicultural communities. Australia has a wonderful, diverse community. The hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of people from around the world have come to Australia and called Australia home. People like myself, who my parents came from Sri Lanka, likewise from around the world, India, Pakistan, from Europe, South America, and all over the world. They come to Australia and call it home. And those relationships and ensuring that those communities are doing well, supporting those communities, one thing that we've done over the last 3-4 years. Coming back to Sri Lanka, because of course your program is mainly shown in Sri Lanka, I should say that we have really supported the Sri Lankan community and the Sri Lankan Buddhist community quite significantly. Now, for example, we have given one of the things that we strongly believe in, Alanki, is the importance of your mother tongue. Even though English is the main language in Australia, we always encourage as a government for kids to make sure that they learn their mother tongue. For example, Sri Lankan kids, encouraging them to learn Sinhalese or Tamil. Now, what we did is we actually gave a grant of $780,000 to the Sri Lankan Buddhist temple in an area here called Berwick to build a Sinhalese language school, the first of its kind here in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. And that school was given so that, Sri Lankan parents, Australian Sri Lankan parents can send their kids to learn Sinhalese and make sure that they remember their mother tongue. Likewise, we've also just in this last week, we announced another $1 million grant to the temple as well. Likewise, to the Buddhist community, we have given over $2 million over the last 2 years. So, which is to support these communities and make sure that these communities are safe and are able to practice their religion without any hindrance. So those are some of the things that we've been able to do for our communities and for our multicultural communities.
Right. You did say, Ranj, that Australia is home to those from countries from across the world. There are many from different countries from across the globe who come to live in Australia. So it is quite evident that you are committed towards promoting multiculturalism. How important is it to promote multiculturalism to you? How important? It
is extremely important. It is extremely important. There's a song that says, "We are one, but we are many. But from all the lands across the world we come." That's what Australia is. We are one, but we are many. But we thrive and we encourage the fact that so many people from around the world can come and call Australia home and enjoy the economic success story that Australia is. Anyone comes to Australia and they're treated equally, and they're given the same opportunities as anyone else, as someone who is born in Australia. That's the success story of Australia, and that's what the Australian government, the Morrison government, is committed to and is passionate about, and that's we are so committed to that, and we have worked extensively to ensure that the multicultural community is given all the resources and the benefits that it needs to thrive in Australia. It is, to answer your question, Alanki, it is really, really important. I cannot stress how important it is to Australia, the Australian government, and indeed the Australian people as well.
How has the response been from Sri Lankans living in Australia?
There's been a fantastic response. I cannot believe how immensely supportive the Australian Sri Lankan community has been. They've also seen the work that we've done in supporting our Sinhalese community, the Sinhalese Buddhist community, the Sri Lankan Muslim community, the Sri Lankan Tamil community as well. We've given grants to Hindu temples as well. So they've really, their support has been tremendous, and it's continuing to grow. And I'm truly grateful for the tremendous support that the Sri Lankan community has given me and is continuing to give the Morrison government and indeed the Liberal Party.
And this was not on the list of questions, but I'm curious, if you are elected in by the people, if people do vote you in, what would you want to do for the people who vote for you?
Well, the key is making sure that the Morrison government has set a platform. Our Prime Minister, he's a great leader, and he has set a platform and put forward key economic commitments, that he would put in place if elected. So those are the policies that I look forward to supporting the Prime Minister and the Morrison government to make sure that those policies are carried out if elected. And of course, as I said, that I'll certainly focus on issues that are relevant to the people of Holt, which are things like infrastructure and crime, and indeed things such as economic growth, making sure the unemployment levels are low, and those are, I guess, the key attributes.
And Ranj, as a Sri Lankan Australian, what commitment do you have towards Sri Lanka?
I love Sri Lanka, and I am proud of my heritage, and Sri Lanka has given me wonderful things. Now, I don't say that lightly. I left Sri Lanka at the age of about 11. My parents, my dad used to work for Bank of Ceylon, and he was transferred to London. And once he finished his term in London, they then decided to migrate to Australia. What Sri Lanka has given me is a wonderful culture, a 2,000-year culture which has a tremendous history. And it is the only country that speaks a language Sinhalese. And to this day, even though I left Sri Lanka at the age of 10, I still speak Sinhalese. And I'm proud of that fact that I'm able to speak this wonderful, amazing language. And I've always come back to Sri Lanka on holidays. I've always maintained that relationships, those links that I've had to Sri Lanka, because I truly do love Sri Lanka. I consider it a paradise island, and it'll always have an enormous place in my heart. It's a country I was born in, and I will always support it in whatever way I can.
And Ranj, you did say that you used to watch this program, and that inspired you to get into politics. So did you always aspire to be a politician? Was this something you've always wanted to do? What did you do before you actually pursued politics?
Interesting question, Alanki. No, I didn't. I didn't wish to pursue politics as such, but I never actually thought I'll go into politics. So I'm not a career politician. Mm-hmm. I've done my own. I've worked for organisations. I've had my own businesses, and then subsequently, a few years ago, I had the opportunity to start working with Minister Jason Wood, and that's probably the commencement of my political journey. The fact that Jason always encouraged me and has encouraged me, and in fact, in this situation, he certainly encouraged me to contest in this election. So certainly, no, I've always hasn't had this vision or plan or goal of being in politics. It's something that happened, and it happened to be something that I like and that I've always had an interest in. So it's something that I'm indeed enjoying at the moment.
Are there any politicians that inspire you?
Yeah, there are politicians that inspire me. I must say, obviously, the minister that I work with, Jason Wood, I'm truly, inspired by his commitment. I'm truly inspired by how committed he is to serving his electorate. I'm truly one of the things that inspires me. In fact, I'll say this: this is something that's interesting, I think, to everyone. Over the last 4 years, we've worked with a vision of simply being available for people and purely with the goal of helping people with their problems. You see, I made sure, and Jason also made sure, that we are accessible. If someone in the middle of the night had a problem, had an issue, for example, it might be an issue where they urgently needed to go overseas. And of course, during the corona pandemic, there'd be difficulty because of the lockdowns in going overseas and getting visas to go. However, hundreds of people would reach out to us. And our vision was, our goal was to be available and make sure we help them in whatever way we could. So that's something that I found inspirational. And that certainly inspired me because as politicians, sometimes we get carried away, and politicians around the world get carried away with power and all sorts of things. But our goal and my goal and Jason, and that's been inspirational to me, has been always be available to people and to be in a way where we could help them solve their problems. Sometimes it might be just they may need someone to talk to. It might be they may need someone to just listen to them over the phone to hear their problems. And we've been available. We've even had a WhatsApp group with hundreds of people on it, including Jason and myself on it, so that we can be reached at any time. That WhatsApp group, in fact, is a multicultural WhatsApp group with over 200 people on it. We also have a Sri Lankan community WhatsApp group. We've also had an Indian community WhatsApp group. Through these WhatsApp groups, our aim was always to be close to people and be available to people and to be able to solve problems that people have. We are ultimately the servants of the public. We are here, we're paid by the public to serve the public. And we are not here to just sit in these flashy offices and enjoy the luxuries. And in fact, you don't get those luxuries like that here in Australia. A politician is same as anyone else. So ultimately, for us, for me, and the inspiration has been that thinking that we are here to serve the public. And we are public servants here to do what the public needs to do. And we've, that the taxpayers' money is used to pay for all the expenses. So we have to make sure that we are serving the public appropriately. So Jason has been inspiration. And of course, our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, is always an inspiration to me and indeed to many people around Australia. So those are a couple of people that I find inspirational.
All right. Moving on to the final question. If there's any message you'd like to send to those watching, why would they vote for you?
Good question. I say to people this, Alanki, don't, and even to the Sri Lankan Australians may be watching, don't vote for me because I have a Sri Lankan background. Don't vote for me because I might be a Sri Lankan. like you. Don't vote for me for any of those reasons. Purely vote for me based on judging on what I've done and what I can do. In those last 3-4 years, study, go through the internet, study what I've done. What have I done for the community? What has me, together with Minister Jason Wood and the Scott Morrison government, done for our communities? If you believe those things that we've done and that I've done will help our communities to grow, help our religions to be in a better place, help our sporting clubs to be in a better place, help the infrastructure growth of this country, help the economic development of Australia. If you believe all those, vote for us and base those judgments looking at statistics. That's what I say. That's important. Analysing statistics between now and previous periods. When I came in the 1980s, Alanki, Australia had a very bad economy. The interest rates here were home loan interest rates were 20%, 17%. Unemployment rate was 15%. Inflation rate was around the same. So it was really in a bad position. We were in a recession. We were in a recession because we did at the time have a Labor government for 10 years. Subsequently, each time there has been Labor, there has been economic issues. So, however, whenever there's been Liberal governments, without being biased, there has been, better economic performances. Interest rates have been low, inflation rates low, unemployment rates low. So that's why I say to everyone, don't make your judgment based on how someone looks, how someone presents, how someone talks, or what background they're from. Simply base it on what they've done and what they can do.
All right, thank you so much. And I have to add, being in Sri Lanka, facing an economic crisis, I do know now and understand how important it is to have a strong economy and to have people who actually work towards building a strong economy. So I do wish you all the best, Ranj, and I really do hope you get voted in. And it will be very special because, like I said before, if elected by the people, Ranj will be the first Sri Lankan Australian to make it to the Australian Federal Parliament. Thank you so much for this conversation. And
Alanki, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for this opportunity. And best of luck with your show, and hope you continue to grow and grow.
Thank you. Wishing you all the luck. And I do hope you make it, and I do hope you are able to create a positive change in Australian politics as well. Thank you once again. Thank you everyone for watching. I will be back with another episode soon. Until then, stay safe and take care.